Hello, everyone. I understand that some of you were confused about things that we said yesterday. So we're going to spend like approximately 20 minutes just reviewing things we talked about yesterday. After that, we'll learn a few new things, and then at the end of the day, we'll make a game. And I'm sure that all of you want to make a game, so you'll be happy about that. Okay. So a lot of you were confused about data types and variables, so we'll be going over that first. So here's an analogy. Okay. So substitute the word data for clothes. So you have different types of clothes, right? You have shirts, you have pants, you have socks, you have hats, and you have shoes. There are different types of clothes that you can wear, and the thing about different types of clothes is they have different features. Shirts have pockets, while shoes do not have. Well, shoes don't have pockets usually. I don't know if there are any shoes which do have pockets. Can we confirm that shoes don't have pockets, guys?
I don't think any do.
Are
Okay,
you
yeah.
really?
Okay, so since they have different features, they're used for different things, and it's the same thing with data types. Data types have different features, and ultimately, it's the job of the programmer to decide what data type to use for a specific task. For example, you can't use strings while doing math, right? Strings are usually used for text, and similarly, you can't use like numbers. You can't use integers and booleans for displaying text from a book because usually you would use a string to hold the text of a book, and numbers aren't really helpful for you here. Or, well, ultimately everything's a number, but we don't have to get into that here. So the thing about data types is you can perform different operations on different types of data, and it's the same. It's the same with clothes. You perform different actions on different types of clothes. Uh, you can tie shoes, you can zip a pant or a jacket, but you can't zip a shirt or a hat. And similarly, you can also button a shirt, and you can also button pants, but you can't button a shoe. What can you? You might be able to actually. I don't know. But the thing is, but you can wear any piece of clothing, right? So there are some things that you can do on with all clothing, and data types are the same thing. Um, so you can print out any type of data. That's it. That's just something that you can do with any data type. You can print it. You can use a print function on it. Um, You can, but here's something you can't do. You can't subtract strings. You can't use the subtraction operation with strings because you just can't do that. Uh, and sometimes operations that you can do on different types of data might work differently with different data types because like buttoning a shirt is different than buttoning a jean, right? Because it's done in a different way, and data types work the same way because when you add two strings, you combine them. So if you have a string of hello and then you have a string of world, if you add them together, you get hello world. We call this concatenation. But when you add together two integers or two floats, yeah, you're finding the sum of these numbers or the arithmetic sum of these numbers. So that's what data types are. And let's talk about variables because you guys were confused about that too a little bit.
They wanted you to explain Boolean a little bit more. They didn't really understand
Booleans
that.
are true or false. Wait, and a bunch of people type that. Basically, they can hold two values. A Boolean can either be true or it can be false. It's that simple. A Boolean is just true or false. I
You
had
can
shoes with
use it
pockets
for like
once.
stuff you can answer
You
like
might.
yes or no
Okay, can you
to.
link those shoes then?
Shoes with pockets.
I like to see that. But do you guys kind of understand what data types are now? Better than yesterday, at least. Does this
Yeah,
analogy
and
help?
so you can use booleans for like stuff you can say either yes or no to. There's no like in between sort of.
Yeah, get the idea. Did so it's okay. So let's move on to variables. So, like I said yesterday, well, let me get to the variable slide. A variable is like a box, right? It's and you can put one thing into a box into a variable. You can put one thing. So you can put in one shirt into a box. You can put in one pant. You can put in one sock. You can put in one of any data type into the box. And then okay, well let's create an example. So I'm just naming this variable box because that's our analogy. And we're putting in this a string. I'll just call this string shirt, or it's a string with shirt inside it. And then in order to access the variable, or to access the thing inside the box, the variable box, you would just do print box, right? But when you're printing box to the screen, you're taking whatever's inside the box, or whatever's inside the variable box, and you're printing that to the screen. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you want to put on a shirt, you open that drawer and then you take out your shirt, or you open the box up. I don't know if you keep your clothes in boxes. Then you take your shirt out and then you put on the shirt, and you can do whatever you want with the shirt, but you have to take it out of the box, and you can put things into the box. So what if you want to change what's in the box? You can do box equal something new. You can set it equal to pen, or let's set it equal to number.
Someone had a question about the difference between a variable and a boolean.
A boolean is the data type, and then a variable is a box. It's like saying, what's the difference between a pant and a box, or a drawer where you can put your clothes in?
Can you show that with assigning it quickly?
The what?
Just explain it. Could you just assign a boolean just to show that?
Oh, okay. So you can put, okay. Let's put a boolean in this variable, true. So you're setting this variable equal to true. This is a boolean. It can either be true or false. And let's just print out.
The box is the actual variable.
Not print out. Let's print out the variable. So it's good if you think of a data type or a boolean. A boolean is a type of clothing, and if you think of a variable as a box, that's like ultimately I think that's the most helpful analogy that we can. Okay, so and a lot of you were confused about lists, which we talked about them a little bit yesterday, but we didn't really have a lot of time to talk about them. So we'll talk about them a bit more now. So, okay, so this is where the analogy kind of breaks it down, because you can think of a list as like a chest, right? It has multiple drawers inside it, but the list itself is a data type. So, but a drawer isn't a type of clothing, or a chest isn't a type of clothing. So it kind of breaks down here. But you want to think of a list ultimately as a chest, and this chest has a bunch of drawers inside it, right? And in each of those drawers, you can put in a data type. You can put in a piece of clothing. You can put in a pant into one drawer, and then you can you can put in a shirt into the one on top of that. That's how drawers work. Then that's how lists work too. But a list is a data type, so you got to know that. So how many data types are there? Well, I don't know. I can't think of off the top of my head. There are a bunch of things built into Python. Oh, the ones we're talking about here today in this class is our lists, integers, booleans, and strings. But you can even make your own data types in Python. So, but we're not getting that far in the class probably. So, and floats, I think. Yeah, we can. Yeah, so there are a bunch of data types we're talking about, but we can't cover all of them in this class. And then you can also make your own. So. There's a lot.
There's more of them for specific uses.
Yeah, those are the
The
basic
basic-
ones, just the 5 ones. Yeah.
Okay, so making a list. So we'll just name this. We'll just store in a variable called L. Or no, I'm making this W. You can store anything in a list. So we can have any variable, and we can have any data type in the list. It doesn't matter. We can have a number as our first element. Then we can have a string as our second one. We can have a float. We can have true. We can have false. We can have any data type in a list, and we can have as many elements as we want. And in order to make a list, we have to put everything inside square brackets, and then we separate the elements with commas. And let's print out this list. And what? Okay. So you see it on screen. So we're printing out this list. And the thing about a list is, what if you want to think about it? Well, think of it as a drawer, right, or a chest. So what if you want to take out something? What if you want to take something out and you want to put something else new into it? Well, first, if you just want to check what's inside a drawer, you have to use indexing. And the way indexing works is you would just do the variable in which you're storing your list, and then in square brackets the index that you want to check. And you have to remember that while we count from 0 in like our regular day world, we start counting at 0. I mean at 1. In programming, it starts at 0. So this is our 0th element. This is our first element. This is our second. This is our third. This is our fourth. So if I do print w, the square brackets 0, what will it put on the screen? 1, right? 1. Yeah, you guys are getting it. Uno. Yeah. So yeah, we see 1 on the screen. So we're accessing 1. We're accessing this chest, and then we're going to the 0th drawer, which is and in that drawer we have 1.
Got it. I just want to expand a little bit on just to clarify the definition of an index. An index is basically the position within an ordered list. If that helps anyone.
All lists are ordered, right? So like your drawer is ordered. You have your what is a float? A float is just a number which with the decimal. It's it's not a whole number.
Yeah, list can be in lists. That is
list is I was going to talk about that, but yeah, list is itself a data type. So you can store and list whole data type. So you can store lists inside lists. And I don't know, I'm not sure how deep I should go into this, but like say we had a list inside this list, right? So
do an example like set a list to W and then make another list with W.
Wait. Okay, wait. Here we have an example here. So in W, the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. At the 4th index, we have a list inside it. So if we print out the 4th, index of W, we actually see the list 1, 2 on the screen. And the thing about this is you can actually, indexing works in a way where if we do this, we get the 0th element of the 4th element of this list. So
you can find indexes of lists inside of lists, and this can go on and on. So maybe in that inner list,
we can have a list in this one, and we can have a list in this one. It gets very it can go on forever, but that's how. So you can have lists inside lists. In summary. Okay, so what if you want to change an index of a list, right? What if you want to change? What if we created this list over here, right? But then over here, we want to set the 0th index equal to like something else. Say we want to set it equal to 100. How would we do that? So basically what we would do is we would treat it as a variable. If you want to set the 0th index of this list,
set the 0th index of the list W from 1 to 100. So we want to update. We want to update the variable. So
what you would do here is so this is the 0th index of the list W, right? And we can treat this as a variable. So it's just like we're updating a variable. We just set it to a new value. And then if we print W again, we should see 100 over here instead of 1. So that's how updating indexes and lists work, right? So, but you can't update something that's not in the list, right? So if we do the 100th index of this list, it doesn't exist yet. So we can't change that because it's out of the range, because we only have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have 4 elements in this list here, W. So what if you want to add something? What if you want to add something else to this list without like having to change anything inside it? What if we want to add 100 to the end of this list? And in order to do that, we have a new function. You have to do W dot, or the name of the variable which holds this list, and you have to use dot append. And then inside these parentheses here, you would type in the thing you want to add to the end of this list. So let's just add 100 at the end of this list. And then if we print out W, we see 100 at the end of this list now, because we appended it to the back of this list. And we can even, since we appended here, right, we can treat it as from this point onwards as if we have one more element in our list. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But since we add the 5th element here, we can update the 5th element like after we append 100 to the list. And we can update this to 10. So we should see, or can you predict what the output's going to be here? Can you guys predict it? Just type it into YouTube chat. Append means adding whatever this is, whatever you want to append to the end of your list, or adding it. I don't want to use append when I'm talking about append. You're adding it to the end of that list. You're creating a new drawer to like extend the analogy. You're creating a new drawer and you're adding it to the top of your chest of drawers. And it doesn't have to be just integers. It can be a string. But well, either way, we're changing it here, so it wouldn't matter what we're appending here. But if we got rid of this, then you see hello at the end. Well, okay, so whenever you're using the dot append function, you are appending to the end of the list. But there is another way you can append things to the start at the start of the list. But we don't want to get into there. We get into it here. You can look it up at home. You can look up adding things to the beginning of a list in Python.
You can do a lot by ending the list.
There's a lot of functions with the lists. There's appending, there's inserting, there's a lot of different things you can do.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't have enough time here to.
Yeah, but we can cover one more thing. What if you want to delete the thing what if you want to delete hello world from this list, right? It's the first index, right? Since that's 0, this is the first index. So what if we want to delete the thing in the first index of this list? The way we would do that is by using the .pop function. So we would do w.pop and the index that we want to delete, and in this case it's 1. So we're removing hello world from this list when we're doing this. And as you can see, yeah, we removed hello world. It's not in this list anymore.
Yeah, and guys, and I'd say these are pretty important when you're working with lists. So we suggest
Python.
Especially in Python lists. So we suggest there's many different dot operators like a dot append, dot pop, dot extend, etc. So we suggest you learn most of them on your own time, and because they're pretty important. So
we've already spent more than 20 minutes just reviewing things, and we did talk about a few new things. So
yeah,
and it seems that you guys are understanding.